chain link, tightening they leash while I'm buying back my freedom brick by brick, piece by piece. Feed the algorithm, watch their souls get deleted. I'm writing chapters and stolen, writing posts get deleted. They chase a viral moment just to fall off next week. I'm architecting the kingdom that my grandkids will keep it screaming. Look at me, just to vanish off the screen and quietly owning acres, turning vision into scheme. Followers come and go like the seasons in the rain, but equity in my name. That's a different type of fame. They want a clip to go crazy, chase applause in the trend. I'm busy building foundations that'll stand when it ends. Let them dance for attention, let them bargain in name. I'm too busy building empires to compete for their flame. I'm investing in the soil, they just decorate the stage. I'm alive in real time, they just dying for a page. When the timeline forgets them and the hashtags all fade, my bloodline's still eating off the moves that I made. When the servers all crash and the numbers don't show, you gon' see who really planned it, who just posed for the glow. And the filters fall off and the noise go mute, all that's left is what you build and the truth you salute. No replay button when your story's complete, so I'm writing mine in granite while they dance for a tweet. Long game, long game, long game, long game, long game, long game, long game. That's the code that I keep.
Up before the sunrise, you still smell like last night. Tabs on my timeline, I'm already on my third fight. Let's go! I get up before the sun comes up. Y'all just stumbling out, still dropping your cuss. Eyes red, mind clear, that's a different rush. You chase a quick buzz, I'm addicted to the push. There's a fight inside of me, I'm wrestling my doubt to build something bigger than a maybe or a clout. More than just a wannabe, talking on the couch. I'm pouring all this pain in the blueprints of a house. You compose and play, strike a look for a day, but it takes real grit to make a name that'll stay. You brag about a booth and a drink in the night. I'm talking 4 AM, lonely screen, long fights. It isn't in a back room, strobe light hype. It's early alarms and them dark phone lights. Why you chasing that last call, last song, last high? I'm chasing that last name written in the sky. Yo, it's that grind talk, 4 AM mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even get close enough to mine and attack. I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, fill another tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd, I just party with the grind. Hey, others say to watch my back, they gon' do you wrong. But I look over my shoulder, ain't nobody that strong. They still chasing some status I already passed. You can't threaten my lane when you jogging and last. Sweat drip in the rack, that's my diamond chain. Each plate, each rep, engraving my name. While you flex in a flick, I'm stretching my frame. Same hours, same earth, whole different game. Alarm go off, that's a war horn ring. Every early morning like a title fight swing. I'm shadow boxing doubt, uppercut to the fib. By the time your night ends, I'm a whole new tier. This that grind time talk, 4 AM mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even get close another mile and attack. I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, filling up the tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd, I just party with the grind. Early bird, never scared, I've been wide awake. You dream big, I bleed big, that's a different stake. You want fame, I want legacy, that different lane. You want now, I want always, that's a different name. Different name, different name, different name. This that grind time talk, 4 AM mind talk. You just hit the club, I've been running up the clock. You watching my back, man, you so far back. You can't even get close another mile and attack. I'm in the gym, building both body in the bank. Heart rate, heavyweight, filling up the tank. You live for the night, I live for the climb. I don't party with the crowd, I just party with the grind.
Good morning, Grid Nation.
Your responsibility. So what we don't do,
Easy.
we bleed, we climb, we push on through. We don't do easy. Turn every can into watch me prove.
Good morning.
Today's
You saw the countdown. I know. Chris, Heidi. Good morning. Hey, I'm getting the hang of this thing. We are Grit Nation. All right, we are going to get this thing kicked off this morning. Wait for a few more people to come in.
swing. Pressure makes a heart.
Morning, Chris. Morning, Heidi.
Stones, we build steps. Every second.
Oh, good morning. I don't know if I actually said that or not. I know I mentioned it. I don't know if I said good morning.
No escape, only true.
If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, I cannot steer comments, unfortunately. That part I have not figured out. Good morning, Deborah. Man, I love this song. They do.
Step for step till the old you is through. Stand up, face it. We are Grit Nation.
All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coach on April 21st, 2026. Good morning, Clarissa. As I stated a minute ago, if you are watching this live on our YouTube channel, I am still trying to figure out the comment part of it. We're supposed to be able to see the comments. I don't see the comments. So if you hear me talking to individuals, it's because I do have the live comments from our Facebook stream up and running on a different window. This morning, man, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hot one here in Colorado. 83 degrees today is the forecast, but great weather. Supposed to be good air quality, no precipitation, just going to be a hot but great Tuesday here in Colorado. And I hope wherever you are in the United States or in the world that it is also a good day for you. This week here at Grit, we have got a few things that are taking place. I'm going to be trying to figure out. So I have figured out several different things about this. Yes, Chris is supposed to be a scorcher. But I figured out several different things about this platform that I am currently using to multicast. And I'm hoping to be able to get the TikTok version of it up and running this week so that we can start being live on TikTok as well. Hey, I want to start this morning off with a cool story that I read. One of the things, in a world that every single day seems like the headlines are constantly just discouraging, right? I don't know if you feel that way or not. It's hard to get away from it. Even if you are not focused on the news, it is hard because people are talking about it. There's always seems like something in turmoil. Sometimes I am not putting my tinfoil hat on, but sometimes I feel like that is planned. Because when we constantly hear that bad news, that negative news, that where there is always something taking place, it keeps us amped up. And when we are amped up, unless you are focused on how to motivate the mind, build the body, and search the soul, we have a tendency as humans to have that tribal, almost, I need to run off the cliff type thing with everybody else. Well, that's not how we do life here at Grit. And so I have been trying in the mornings here at Grit and Coffee with Coach to start off with a positive note and a positive story. This story comes from BuzzFeed. I'm not sure exactly when this was posted, but I came across it this morning and I was like, man, that's actually pretty cool. So in 2012, a guy in New York City named Mike Matthews had been doing some stuff in Central Park, and he was watching vendors, things like that, and he came up with this idea. It's so funny. Some of the greatest ideas in our life can come by just paying attention around us and then trying something. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have tried this, but he tried it, and man, it really changed some people's lives. He put up a booth and just sat in Central Park and had people stop by the booth and live stream with his grandmother, and they could sit and live stream with his grandmother and get grandma advice. Now, I'll tell you what, I don't have any of my grandmothers that are currently alive. One of them, I do hope she rests in peace, but I wouldn't have got in. I would never have sought out advice from. We did not have a good relationship. In fact, so much so that when she did pass away, I did not even attend her funeral. I My day, my life went on, right? But I did have another grandmother on my father's side that did. She was pretty wise, and one of the most humble women that I've ever met, and stubborn women I've ever met. Powerful, one of the most powerful women I've ever met, even in her most humble state of mind. So I would love for people to have gotten advice from her, but Mr. Matthews did this for a while, and people could stop in and get advice from his grandmother. And he did this actually for 6 years until his grandmother passed away in 2018. And she passed away at 102. 102. Imagine being able to get life advice from somebody who has lived 102 years. That is absolutely crazy. He took a hiatus after his grandmother passed away, and he was walking through after a few years of it. After a few years of taking time off, he was walking through Central Park, and he just observed the same thing I just kind of explained, where everyone just seems so stressed. They get up in the morning, they whatever their morning routine is, should be, you know what your morning routine should be. I talk about it all the time, and it will help with stress, but they just jump in and just go, and they're on autopilot, and they're stressed out. They're stressed about deadlines. They're stressed out about bills. They're stressed out about things they cannot change. They're just stressed. Sometimes we just need that moment to just sit and pause for a second. So he went and did another booth, painted it his grandmother's favorite color, which was purple, and went to his housing complex where he was at and asked a grandmother if she would be willing to come and sit at the booth with him so that people could just stop by and ask advice. And she said yes. And since that time, he has had over 15 or so grandmothers who've carried on his grandmother's legacy. Excuse me, sitting at this booth, paying it forward and giving advice of the life they've lived, the lessons they've lived. And there's several things we can learn from this and we can take into today as a positive story is that, first of all, sometimes we can stumble across our purpose in life. But as we talked about yesterday in Coffee with Coach, you got to get off the X. You got to move. You got to look around. You got to pay attention. You can't have your head down like this in your phone constantly. In fact, I challenge you today to walk around and see how many people are actually doing that. And those are people who are missing out on the opportunities of life. Because when we pay attention to the things around us, the universe will reveal things to us that other people aren't going to see because they're not paying attention. And that can give us an opportunity that we never thought we would ever get. The second thing we can learn from this is it is our responsibility to take the lessons we have learned in our life, no matter how short your life has been or how long it has been. It is our responsibility to pass those lessons on to make the world better and to make someone's life better. That's what I do here at Coffee with Coach every single day. I am not a special dude. I don't have anything unique about me that says, man, I should get on this camera and this platform and all these platforms, other than I've lived life and I've taken each lesson and I've put it in a filing cabinet and said, somebody's going to need to know that. I wish someone would have taught me that. And I will also tell you that the reason I'm here, you know this, if you've been part of Grit for a while, you know that I will always say this. One of the reasons I am here and able to do what I do is because there have been people who have gone before me and they have taught me. My father is one of them. My father is someone who has gone through great adversity in life, and I never saw him quit, even though so many times he wanted to quit. I have had great leaders in my life, and they're humble. That's one of the things talking about, my grandmother. My There have been some great leaders, humble leaders in my life who have taken time out to turn around and invest in a young soldier, a young airman, and say, "Hey, here's a better way to do this." And I actually had that opportunity yesterday to be able to sit back with pride and just watch, because yesterday I've explained recently that I'm doing a lot of different things. And one of the things I'm doing is helping my son build his business. And yesterday I had the opportunity yesterday afternoon for him and I to sit here in this office and him to teach me some things about his business so that I can be better prepared as I move into this line of business, helping him out. And as I sat there and listened to my son, it was really a unique experience because I have spent 22, 23 years teaching him. And then being able to sit and have him teach me. I became the student, right? And as I became the student, it was interesting. And I was so proud watching going. And I remember a moment in that time going, when did you become a man? Because it wasn't my son sitting in front of me. It was a man who has knowledge beyond his years, who is becoming very successful in the business that he is building. And I get to be a part of that. And I just sat there and I'm like, man, I'm proud. So that's the good story this morning. Take it, apply it, analyze it, but more importantly, just absorb it and understand how it can impact you today in a positive way. But that is obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious or not, but that is not what we're going to talk about today here at Coffee with Coach. We're going to talk about being a good AG. And you're like, an assistant general? An attorney general, coach? No, an assistant gunner. You say, what? In the military, obviously, there are numerous roles. And as an infantryman, one of the roles that there is in a squad, in a platoon, is you have what is called the heavy gunner. Now, I did not do my research before this. I do know that the weapon platforms have changed since I was in the infantry. I am going to date myself for any military member that watches this, current military member. Heck, maybe even not a current military member. But when I was in one of the military platform or weapon platforms that had been around for a while and was used often was the M60 or the 60 gun. Now, this gun is a very huge weapon system, and it is heavy. And part of it is a two-man crewed gun, two-man crewed weapon system. And what that means is that you have an assistant gunner. You have somebody who's not the primary shooter of the weapon. It is their responsibility to assist the primary shooter. Now, you may say, wow, who would want that? The crazy thing about it is their job is just as vital, if not more vital, than the individual behind the weapon system, because they're carrying the tripod. They're not maybe the weapon system, the gunner is actually carrying the weapon, but the assistant gunner is carrying the tripod, usually carrying the extra ammunition. And it is their responsibility to help set up the weapon system to ensure its proper usage and to make sure that it's loaded properly, to make sure that the ammo is available, and to help assist in the firing of that weapon. And then if something were to happen, God forbid, to the main gunner, it is their role to take over that position. They are an assistant. Now, I will say there's not too many people who want to be an assistant gunner because they want the glory of being the gunner. They want the glory of the main position. But that role is vital in order for that system, weapon system, to be activated correctly. You say, well, thank you, coach, for that military history. I'm not sure how I'm going to apply this today. Well, good, because I'm glad that you are kind of confused because I'm going to help you figure out how to apply that to your life today. In our lives, each of us are a support system to somebody else in some form or fashion, whether you realize it or not. And maybe you say, coach, I'm a loner. I'm not. Well, that's a whole nother coffee with coach that we are not going to get into. But as I already talked about in the positive story, it is our responsibility to share our lessons with somebody else who needs to hear it. And the universe will put you in that position. But we are a vital part of someone else's story. In our own story, we're the starring role, or at least we should be. And we're not going to get into the director's workshop here, but in the director's workshop, we talk about that. We talk about how so many times we take ourselves out of the director's seat, we take ourselves out of the starring role of our own lives, and we put someone else in it. That shouldn't be. We are the starring role of our own story. But one of the things that irritates me is I like it. I appreciate it as a storyteller, as an author. I appreciate it. But something that has really taken hold over the last, I'm going to say roughly 10 years, are these TV series that have crossovers. The DC universe is a really big one. With the Arrowverse, I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it was Supergirl, the Green Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. I'm sure the Flash. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, and they each had their own show that you could watch. But then they would do these crossovers where the superheroes and the actors would go into the other show, and then they would crisscross back and forth. The Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago MD, I think, or Hospital or something. There is a series out there, Chicago series, that has Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and there's one other one that they do the same thing. It's all about the Chicago Fire Department and then the Chicago Police Department, and these stories intertwine. Now, the reason that it irritates me is because I always like to stream my stuff. I like to binge watch stuff because I don't watch it when it comes out. I am one of these that have many other things to do. And when I sit down to watch it, and I never know, the FBI series is another one. There's FBI, like 5 different FBIs. Law and Order, I think, does the same thing. Where it frustrates me is I don't know where I'm supposed to be tuning into the other TV series to watch the rest of the story. The whole point that I'm getting at is that we are the key role of our story in our life. We are also the supporting actors in someone else's story. It is our role. We are the assistant gunner in someone else's weapon system. It is our responsibility, just as much as it is our responsibility, to be the best lead role of our lives, to make our show, our story, our book, whatever it is, popular. And I say popular in a very loose sense, but successful, have a successful run, be something worth watching, be something worth investing in. We owe it to the partners, the people that we are supporting. We owe them a good supporting role. And that's not as flowery and as exciting as the lead acting, but it is just as vital for their story to be successful. Now, how do we do that? How do we become that good supporting role? How do we become that assistant gunner? First of all, we must remain humble. Second of all, we must stay in tune with the individual whose story we are supporting. And third, we are not there to take over their story. Now, I would imagine you probably can think of different movies or roles or TV shows where a supporting actor seemed to carry the show. It was, man, they're really good. And in fact, that's where we get a lot of spinoffs many times, is because there is a character that everyone really, really likes. I think of the Friends TV show. I know I'm dating myself, but Matt LeBlanc's character ended up having his own show. Did not go that well. I think of Seinfeld, Kramer. That character had his own show. Did not go very well, because sometimes we have to understand that the leading or the supporting actor role that we play is important. And there are times in that role that we will gain popularity, but it is not our position to take over. Now, how do we do this? How do we become, what are the key elements to that assistant gunner? What is that key element to that supporting actor, that supporting role? First of all, it's being in tune to the lead character's story. It is to remain humble. I mentioned that my grandmother was a very humble woman. She, my grandfather, I'm very grateful that I did not get to see this side of him. But before me being born, when my father was growing up, my grandfather was an alcoholic, a World War II veteran, and served in the army, got out and was a welder for a while, Golden Glove boxer, but he was an alcoholic. The stories that I've heard about that time period of his life, I will tell you, I very, very grateful that I did not know him then, because by knowing him later in life, I didn't get that part of him. And I got to see a man that I truly is my hero, one of my heroes. But the real hero of that story would be my grandmother, who, through her tenacity and strength and humility, became a supporting role. She became the main actor in her story, became a supporting role in my grandfather's story. And I truly believe that my grandfather became the man that I knew him as because of my grandmother. It's just remaining humble. It's remaining tuned in. Miss Coach and I have explained recently that Miss Coach and I have both are pursuing our passions and our dreams. And they're two different stories. I don't know anything about art, don't have a desire to know anything about art. I can't do art. I'm a speaker, a mindset coach, an author, a personal trainer. She has no desire to really learn in great detail enough to be a leading role in that story. She wants to do art. But our stories interchange. We have crossovers. That crossover can only happen because I am paying attention to her heartbeat. I'm paying attention to her passion. She is doing the same with me. The other day, I had the opportunity. I was sitting here in the office, I was doing some work, and I had a lull in some things I had planned. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I don't do lulls well, right? I'm always on the go. If there ever comes a time where things kind of quiet down and just sit for a second, I am like, okay, what am I missing? What do I need to do? Why I'm wasting time? And as I'm sitting there thinking these things, I looked over and I saw some things that she had been working on. And I know she is building her website. She has a lot. For those who haven't had a chance to go look at her website, I encourage you to do so. See some of the artwork that she is putting up that is up there for sale. But she is doing a lot of different stuff. She's doing some originals. She's doing some limited prints. She is doing some, I can't remember what you call it, repurposed clothing, where she is purchasing clothing and then she is doing some artwork on the clothing and then she's reselling them. And I'm sitting there looking and she has all this stuff laying, and I'm looking over this way because that's where her desk is. She has all this stuff laying on her desk. And I'm like, she doesn't have the time. I've heard her say that. I am staying in tune with her. She doesn't have the time to get all the things done she's trying to do. I have some time right now. What can I do right now that will be a supporting role in her life to help her? Because that is what a partner does. A partner says, this is not just about my story. I am not here for the free ride. I'm not here to just get up. There's nobody in this house that is paying attention to the point of coming and telling me I have to show up behind this desk every day. I have to be putting in the work every day. There's nobody. And I get that opportunity to do this because I have a partnership. But then it is my responsibility to be in tune with my partner to support their story. And so I got up and I started doing some things. I took some pictures because I do photography as well. I started taking pictures of things, of different artwork and things that she has been working on so that she can take those photos and apply them to her website or her marketing. I took time out of my day from being the lead actor, being the main gunner of that weapon system, of my success, and said, this time, not about me. It is about me becoming the supporting actor. And I went over and supported her, sent her the photos, and she's like, what in the world? And I said, hey, I took some time out today to do this. Hopefully this helped you out. Then I got out of her episode and I went back to my episode. I got out of her position, let her get back behind the weapon system, and I returned to being an assistant gunner. Or vice versa. I jumped out of my position and jumped out of that position and went back to the position that I was going to be in the main role of my life. Where we fail so many times is we either are not doing anything. We're not even on the same battlefield with our partners. In the military, partnership, brotherhood, sisterhood, we use those words, brotherhood and sisterhood, in a very deep way. There are times I'll tell people, just because it's a social thing, cool thing, or whatever it is, a communicative tribal thing, where I'll sit there and call someone, hey, brother. But when I talk to my military brothers, there's a different meaning behind the word brother. Why? Because we have been in positions where we understood we will not be successful if we go alone. We are successful when we go as a team. But nobody wants dead weight on their team. It's like that relay race when you're running a race and you're passing off the baton. When you go to pass off the baton, your section of the race requires you to give everything you have, but it is also reliant on your team member to take the baton correctly and give it all they have. You, as part of that team, can do everything and you can exhaust yourself. But if you go and hand off that baton, when you've got to the part where you are exhausted and you have to hand the baton off, you hand that baton off to your teammate and they walk, all of the work you just put in was for nothing. What we don't want to be is that teammate who walked. Just as important as it is for us to be the star actor of our own story, just as important that every day we get up and we make a plan. We start our day off with motivation, inspirational, educational. We set a goal. We aim for that goal. We do everything to hit that goal. It is also just as important to be that assistant gunner. Because I will tell you, in the military, with the heavy machine gun, it is a heavy weapon, as I stated earlier. It becomes burdensome. It is not the most, I'm sorry, folks, Hollywood doesn't do it justice when you have Rambo sitting there tucked under his arm and he's just shooting this huge machine gun, muscles bulging. That makes for a good Hollywood story. That's not practical in real life. It requires two people. It requires a team. In our life, what we can gain from this is two different things. One, in your starring role, you can only go so far by yourself. If you want to go fast, I have this, I adopted this quote. I did not come up with this quote. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go long, you go together. It is important for us to build this team. You've heard in the Elevate workshop, you've heard in the you will hear in the basic training workshop. You've heard in the war, willingly accepting responsibility workshop. You've heard in the fire academy workshop. This is something very key. The resilient workshop. This is key to the principle of success, that you don't go alone. You build a team of individuals who will come alongside of you as supporting actors at the director's workshop, as supporting actors of your life. But then it is vital that we understand we are also the supporting actor of someone else's story. And how sad would it be if our teammate has given us everything they've got? They have run, they're about to puke, and they hand off the baton. And when they hand off the baton, we look at the time and we go, oh, we're like setting record pace here. I don't have to give it all I've got. But then by you not giving all you've got, you just let your team down. So my question for you this morning is, are you being a good assistant gunner? Are you being a good supporting actor? Are you being a good teammate? This requires us to go ask those questions. Questions that sometimes are not easy for us to ask. It requires us to go and sit with our teammate and say, hey, am I doing enough? And not only ask the questions, be humble and open to hear the response, because it's so easy to become defensive. I've seen that with a heavy machine gun system where the gunner is just going and the assistant gunner is just kind of not really paying attention and not feeding the rounds correctly. And the gunner just gets so upset. It's like, would you pay attention? I cannot do my job if you're not doing yours. If I've got to focus on both jobs, then something is going to be lacking here. In the military, we're a lot more brash. Like we'll probably hit a mofo. In real life, we can't do that. That's called assault. But we cannot be defensive. We have to sit down and we have to say, am I doing enough? Am I meeting your needs? Am I helping support your dream? Because I don't want to go this alone, because going alone, I may go fast. But I want to go together so we can go long. It requires it. Then at the other time is, if you are someone out there and you're going, man, I wish, coach, that would be great. I'm worn out. I'm exhausted. And I'm sitting here and I'm giving it everything I've got. And I'm looking ahead on the track and I see the teammate that I'm supposed to be handing this off to. And I'm not confident that when I hand this off, they're going to give all they've got. I'm going to say something harsh. We don't do easy here, and I don't sugarcoat things. Maybe you're on the wrong team. We hear that a lot if you watch sports or pay attention to sports, where especially, and I think more so, I don't know if this happens in baseball, but I do know that more so in basketball and football, I see it where you'll get someone who gets done. They have been giving it year after year after year after year. They have been giving it all they have on the court or on the field. And finally, they know their team's not going to do it. Their team is not pulling their weight. And they finally say, I demand a trade. Why? Because they don't want to play the sport? Why? Because they hate the team jersey they're wearing? No, in fact, I listened to a lot of stories where they said, no, I actually saw myself retiring from that team. But my teammates weren't doing it. And I want to win. I didn't get in this just to play. I didn't get in this just to sit. I didn't get into this. I love this game. I got into this to win championships, to be successful, and my team was not there. They weren't where I was, and they weren't willing to put in the work. So this morning, are you being a good teammate? Are you being a good assistant gunner? It's time for you to sit down with that teammate. When I did all of that photography and stuff for Miss Coach, she said, hey, I appreciate this. But the photos you took are of artwork I'm keeping. I'm not selling it. I'm like, oh. And that was a little sting because I thought I had done all this good stuff for her and found out that I hadn't. See, where I went wrong is I didn't ask her. And later that day, she came to me. She's like, I want you to know I see what you're trying to do and I appreciate it. So this, and this are the things I need help with. These are things I'm going to sell. These things are the things that I'm going to get rid of, make money off of, profit off of, whatever. If you want to take photos for me and help me out, this is where I need you. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Why? Because if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go a long distance, you go together. Comment in the Facebook group says some folks aren't meant to be on that team. Correct. Some people aren't meant to be on your team. So my friends today, you need to ask yourself, you may be proud and you should be if you're killing it as the lead actor of your story. And if you're a great heavy machine gunner, and you could be an expert at it. But I promise you, you will not be as great as you should be without an assistant gunner or a supporting cast. And if your supporting cast is giving you all they've got, then when they get their show or they become a heavy machine gunner, when they get into their role, it is your responsibility to pay it back. Because they gave it all they have for you, you have to give it all for them. Why? Your response. It's your responsibility.
This that long game, talk no rewind, no edit. 10-year vision in the mirror when I said it. They chasing little moments, I'm chasing a lineage. Listen, people out here chasing 30-second likes. I'm clocked into.
Come on, Great Nation. And go be yesterday's you, today's you today. Be a better version of you than yesterday, because I know that you can. Remember, your response, it is always your responsibility.